Good morning, St. Maarten. My name is Jasenia Lazaro.
And I'm Alston Lawrence.
And welcome to yet another edition of St. Maarten News Desk.
Brought to you by TV15.
We're bringing the latest and most important stories around the island and beyond.
It's the middle of the week. We're trying to get to the weekend. Until then, let's check out these top headlines.
The police force of St. Maarten KPSM ramped up efforts against crime with 3 arrests and multiple seizures in separate operations on Monday, June 23, 2025. In the first case, a man identified by the initials LYL was caught attempting to smuggle drugs into Miss Lally Center in K-Bay. Officers intercepted him around 10 a.m. and discovered narcotics concealed inside a deodorant bottle. He was arrested and transferred to the Phillipsburg police station for further questioning. The investigation remains ongoing. Later that morning, police intercepted a stolen Hyundai H1 pickup truck on WJA Naismith Road following a citizen tip. The vehicle had been spotted heading toward Phillipsburg. Officers stopped it and arrested 2 male occupants with initials JAPE and CPC. Both were taken into custody and are currently being interrogated. In addition, police confiscated 2 illegal firearms during routine patrols over the weekend. KPSM reiterated its zero-tolerance stance on gun possession, warning that anyone found with an unlicensed weapon will face immediate arrest and prosecution. Authorities stressed that illegal firearms pose a significant threat to public safety and called on residents to report suspicious activities. The public can contact police via 911, the main station at 542-2222, or anonymously at the tip line 9300.
Justice Minister the Honorable Natalie Tacklin met with Aruba and Curacao counterparts during the GVO to address crime, crisis response, and shared service costs. She thanked them for their swift help after St. Maarten's recent prison riot. All 3 countries face similar issues: staff shortages, outdated prisons, and rising violence. They discussed St. Maarten's high homicide rate and agreed on the need for early intervention, youth programs, and a regional approach to organized crime. Concerns were raised about the high costs of kingdom-wide services. The ministers called for more transparency and fairer cost sharing. Tacklin and Minister Hato also discussed improving the Crime Prevention Fund and tackling youth gun violence. The talks ended with a commitment to closer cooperation and shared legal support. Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, the Honorable Brug, has submitted a draft decree to the Social Economic Council, known as SER, seeking advice on a proposal to raise funeral aid from 4,500 guilders to 9,000 guilders. The initiative follows a motion by MP Egbert Duran passed during the October 2024 budget debate, calling for an update to the burial assistance policy based on current cost and financial feasibility. Brug noted the rise in funeral-related expenses and the broader increase in cost of living as key reasons for the proposed adjustment. Funerals often bring unexpected costs that deeply burden families, especially during hard economic times, Brug stated. He emphasized that the current aid amount no longer reflects real-world prices. Brug, who supported the original motion as a member of parliament, said it was a priority to carry it out as minister. The measure is part of a broader efforts to strengthen the social safety net and support citizens during moments of crisis. Once SER delivers its advice, the proposals will proceed to the Advisory Council for further review. Funeral assistance is governed by the national decree containing general measures on financial aid.
The St. Maarten Chamber of Commerce and Industry has raised concerns over aggressive tax enforcement practices that are impacting local businesses, especially small and medium-sized enterprises. Kochi pointed to ongoing administrative errors between the Tax Inspectorate and the Receiver's Office, which have led to premature actions like liens and auction threats, even in cases where payments were made or disputes are still active. The chamber warned that these practices are putting additional strain on businesses already dealing with high costs, labor shortages, and lingering financial challenges. Kochi is urging the government to ensure accuracy before taking enforcement steps and to show flexibility when businesses are cooperative or on payment plans. Kochi also called for reforms to improve coordination between tax departments, expand the taxpayer base, and create fairer policies that support both compliance and business growth. The chamber reaffirmed its commitment to working with government to find solutions that strengthen the economy without overburdening businesses.
Carry bust the chains cool effect. That's your mouth. Vibe is the one that people talking about.
Hello? Chin?
I say you're calling your mouth. Hey, hey, let's have up. Let's have up. Let's have up.
I want you to bend down, bend up. I want you to walk up, walk up. I want you to bend down, bend up. Ladies, to the wrong man. No, you got a problem on your damn hand. You give it to the wrong man. No, you got a problem on your damn hand.
We don't shoot and miss. Don't shoot and miss. We don't shoot and miss. Don't shoot and miss. We don't shoot and miss. It's hits after hits after hits. For more information, Bust the Chain Cool Effect at Facebook and Instagram.
Let's put everything on the table. People always give their opinion, and you can either take it or crunch it. Let them judge. We give in to the most irresistible flavor. We devour every nugget that falls in our hands, especially when it's our crunchy fried chicken. And let the crumbs fly if needed. Let them keep judging. We'll keep indulging. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Make the switch. Get faster internet for less.
Hey there, it's Busy with the Sunshine Report, straight out of Sunshine City, St. Maarten, bringing you the warmth and the sunshine you need to kickstart your day. So let's dive into today's forecast and see how the skies are treating us. And that's your Sunshine Report, brought to you by the Met Department of St. Maarten. So as you enjoy your week, stay safe, stay friendly. Sunshine City.
Very critical information with a life-threatening. Thank you for being with me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. I want to start with Thank you for being with me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. I want to start with an earthquake, but we're in action mode in parts of Central America. Very critical information with a life-threatening flooding on the way. I want to track that and a development or an area that could develop and eventually hit the same spot that Hurricane Eric just hit. So that's clearly not a good situation at all. And I want to show you some rounds of dust moving into the Eastern Caribbean. We're going to see a big dust surge just over the next couple of days. So thank you for your patience. I know this video will be a little bit long. I'll try to go as quick as possible, but we need to get to some info. Let's start with this. The earthquake last night, right near the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, 5.7 in magnitude. And as I mentioned, anything over 5, a lot of us feel it. Fortunately, it was just to the north. There was no tsunami threat with it, just enough to the north where we didn't have any substantial reports of damage or anything like that. 68 kilometers down, 44 miles down, so still a relatively shallow quake. So a lot of us may have felt this. We felt this in parts of the British U.S. Virgin Islands, all the way back toward St. Maarten, for example. But look at this feed of rain moving into Nicaragua. And yes, this is no doubt, and I don't use that term lightly, a life-threatening situation with that rain. There's just more back behind it. That's going to be pumping it all day. Lots of moisture building here. Hit or miss showers, but I want to show you in a moment across the Eastern Caribbean, the dust that is about to build in. It's going to be rather significant. And then we swing out here in the open waters of the Atlantic, a new tropical wave kind of hanging together. Rather impressive in the bad sense of the term for this time of year. I'm not seeing development out of it, but it is hanging together as it fights off some dry air and some dust. So I'll monitor that. Speaking of which, look at this slug of dust moving in. This yellow shading. This is for today through the Eastern Caribbean, Trinidad north through Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, back through Puerto Rico. Thick areas of dust. Be mindful of that if you have any breathing issues. No doubt they will be worse. For many of us, just acting kind of like an allergen out there. You may have those kind of red eyes or itchy eyes. And then as we get toward the end of the week on Friday, this blob of dust just shifts toward Jamaica, over toward Cuba, South Florida, parts of the Bahamas. Some of that dust even tries to stretch toward the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico as this next round of dust moves in. So tropical waves are really hanging together for the most part, monitoring for development, watching the Western Caribbean and watching over toward the Eastern Pacific. That flood threat for a lot of us getting higher. On the flip side, we have some of that dust moving into the Eastern Caribbean, but watching Nicaragua over toward parts of Honduras. I'm going to monitor that very carefully over the next few days. Thank you for sharing this information. Have a good rest of your day.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to remember to help keep you and your family safe. If you're not in an area that is advised to evacuate and you decide to stay in your home, plan for adequate supplies in case you lose power and water for several days and you're not able to leave due to flooding or blocked roads. This hurricane season, make a family emergency communication plan. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Maarten.
The Ministry of Romi has completed emergency stabilization works on Ebenezer Road, addressing a major landslide threat ahead of 2025 hurricane season. The hillside, which had eroded significantly since 2024 storms, was putting homes, infrastructure, and draining system at serious risk. The project followed years of resident complaints and worsening conditions, including the collapse of a septic tank and cistern after heavy rains last year. Immediate action was taken after assessment wrapped up in February 2025. Work began in March and concluded in under 3 months. Repairs included slope anchoring, a shotcrete nailed wall, and trench restoration to prevent future erosion and flooding. The interventions were carried out by specialized contractor Acrobat X. The ministry, under the Honorable Minister Patrice Gums, emphasized that this project shows the need for responsible development and proper permitting. Efforts are underway to formalize civil works permit procedures and improve construction oversight. A follow-up project is planned to restore the full Ebenezer Trench, which drains water from the South Reward Hills through cul-de-sac to Phillipsburg. A budget request has been submitted to fund future landslide mitigation efforts nationwide. Residents are now better protected from landslides and flooding. The ministry thanked the community for its cooperation and urged continued vigilance during storm season.
New caretaker State Secretary for Kingdom Relations Elcha Eddie Van Maarten has pledged to strengthen ties with the Caribbean countries of the Kingdom through a people-first approach focused on listening and collaboration. Van Maarten, who also handles earthquake damage claims in the Netherlands Groningen region, said his experience there has shaped his commitment to direct engagement. He emphasized that while the issues may differ, both roles require building trust through dialogue and action. Representing the BBB party, Van Maarten reaffirmed his commitment to the priorities of sound public finances and good governance in Curaçao, Aruba, and St. Maarten, continuing the agenda of his predecessor. He stated his intent to visit all 6 Caribbean islands soon to hear firsthand the concerns and aspirations of residents. His broader focus also includes improving digitization and ensuring that The Hague remains a reliable partner for the islands. The St. Maarten Tourism Bureau, STB, hosted a successful MICE Focus webinar on June 18th, partnering with Copa Airlines to reach over 150 Latin American travel professionals. The event showcased the island's top venues and services for meetings, incentives, conferences, and events aiming to position St. Maarten as a leading Caribbean MICE destination. Representatives from major hotels and resorts including Sonesta, JW Marriott, Simpson Bay Resort, and Hills Event Hall presented tailored packages and facilities to the audience. STB emphasized the region's growing market, with over 10,000 visitors from Latin America arriving in 2024. This webinar continues STB's strategy to engage key travel influencers cost-effectively and encourage local stakeholders to join future marketing efforts to boost St. Maarten's MICE profile in Latin America.
A new study by Roman Monte, a master's student at Amsterdam Vrije University, sheds light on the social and emotional factors influencing the return of Caribbean students and young professionals to the islands. Through interviews with 13 participants from 5 islands, the research revealed that cultural identity, especially language use, family ties, and lifestyle preferences strongly affect decisions to remigrate. Challenges like racism, discrimination, and lack of recognition of the colonial past in the Netherlands also impact willingness to return. Timing and personal circumstances such as relationships and housing play a key role. Monte's study recommends creating practical support tools like remigration manuals, workshops, and online forums. Employees are encouraged to provide cultural onboarding and simplify bureaucratic processes for returnees. The research is part of a broader collaboration between Vrije University and Stichting We Connect, aimed at supporting Caribbean students' well-being and sense of belonging in the Netherlands. For Monte, the project was both academic and personal, deepening his connection to his Curaçaoan roots while highlighting the complex emotions tied to identity and home.
The deadline to submit 2024 income tax return forms A and B has been extended to June 30th, 2025. Invitations are being sent by regular mail. If you don't receive one, you must request it. Forms are available online at the Government of St. Maarten's website. Taxpayers must submit forms in person at the Tax Administration Office located in the Vineyard Building. Online or email submissions are not accepted. For proof of submission, bring a copy to be stamped. Taxpayers who need an extension must request it before June 30th, 2025.
Guess what? I got an idea. It's amazing. You see how we have the link sharing all everywhere?
QR link,
the
yeah.
QR link.
Yeah.
Raw Caribbean Channel app. Yeah. You're welcome. Put it in the back.
But it's not an app though. It's not an app. App, you have to like download something to get it on your phone, take up space. It's not an app.
It's like an app. Therefore, it can be an app. So, it's an app. Raw Caribbean TV app. Say it with me, Al. Come on.
It's not an app though. All you gotta do with that, it's a link. You take the link, you hit the bookmark, you say add to home screen, and so it shows up like an app icon, but it's not an app though.
Are you a real person? It is an app because you get to watch all the programs from Raw Caribbean at one place. It is an app.
I don't know how to explain this to you, but factually and technically, it's not an app. Kind of like we do the news, facts,
Yeah.
and you do that thing you do.
Whoa.
Point being, you just go to the QR, you hit bookmarks, and you hit add to home screen, and then you can have the link to, let's give it another name.
The app.
You want to call it the app?
Raw Caribbean TV app.
Jess.
Yes.
Jess, please, give some sense, Jess. Jess.
It's kind of like an app.
That's why she gets the big bucks.
It's not an app, though. It's not a app. What the It's not a app.
Ooh, you kiss your mother with her mouth? My God. Watch Raw Caribbean TV app.
Watch Raw Caribbean TV app.
Yes.
It's not an app, though.
The fifth No Mass, No More World Conference was held in St. Maarten from June 16th to 19th, bringing together professionals from all 6 Caribbean islands of the kingdom. Representatives from key ministries of health, education, and justice also participated. The conference focused on collaboration toward ratifying the Istanbul Convention, which aims to prevent violence against women and domestic violence. Delegates worked on action plans covering gender equality, protection orders, mental health, awareness campaigns, data collection, and support for undocumented victims. These efforts align with priorities from a previous Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, including shelter care, protection codes, research, knowledge sharing, and capacity building. St. Maarten's minister, the Honorable Reginald Brug, highlighted the collective commitment behind the slogan, No Mass, No More, Not Here, Not Anywhere. The working group will continue implementing plans on each island with partners in justice and social services. The conference fostered knowledge exchange and strengthened resolve to create safer communities across the Caribbean kingdom.
Lemonade BV, a St. Maarten-based Caribbean startup, has begun a major 10-month research project called Where Culture Lives to document cultural and heritage practices across Aruba, Bonaire, Curaçao, Saba Statia, and St. Maarten. Commissioned by the Dutch Ministry of Education, Culture and Science, the project aims to provide a comprehensive map of how Caribbean communities engage with music, dance, art, heritage, and cultural education. Led by former Minister Yoreen Waita and an interdisciplinary team of experts from the region, the study will collaborate with local partners like the University of St. Maarten and Stichting NAM in Curaçao. The project emphasizes storytelling and local voices to deepen understanding of cultural realities and needs. The research will provide vital baseline data for shaping future cultural policies and fostering creative growth across the 6 islands. It will explore formal and informal cultural participation and aims to encourage regional collaboration in arts, culture, and heritage sectors. The team plans broad community involvement, including media outreach and active engagement with local organizations to ensure the research reflects diverse perspectives and supports sustainable cultural development. The Grand Case Eco Landfill in Cul-de-Sac was reopened on Friday by management company Verde SXM after a brief closure the previous Thursday due to unpaid invoices. The collectivité expressed regret over the service disruption caused by Verde SXM's decision to stop accepting waste despite ongoing payment negotiations. Although the collectivité acknowledged owing Verde SXM 3.3 million euros for 6 months, it highlighted that a payment order of 579,000 euros was issued on June 19th. Verde St. Maarten's Verda SXM suspension of service came despite these efforts. The local authority is taking steps to resolve the dispute and plans to make an additional €500,000 payment before June ends. Household and bulky waste collection continues uninterrupted, with collected waste temporarily stored near the site pending full reopening. The collectivité stresses the fundamental right to continuous public services and warned it may requisition the landfill if necessary to ensure proper operation.
The musical theater workshop Real Women Have Curves raised €880 for the Freegan Food Foundation in St. Martin. 9 participants enjoyed singing, acting, and dancing under the guidance of DJ Jansen and Jos de Jong. The workshop featured a plant-based lunch aligned with Freegan's mission for a sustainable and fair food system. Held at Stardance Studio, the event celebrated creativity, empowerment, and community spirit. Proceeds will support Freegan's Client Choice Food Bank and coaching programs for vulnerable households. Freegan praised the solidarity and joy the workshop fostered and announced that DJ and Yost will return in January 2026 with new musical theater workshops to continue fundraising. That's all the time we have for today's edition of St. Martin News Desk.
Thank you for joining us. Remember, new episodes premiere every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. on TV15 and then across all social media platforms. I'm Ulster Lawrence.
And I'm Yesenia Lassiter, wishing you an amazing week. See you next time.
Stay friendly.